Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. So let's think about your day to day. Where did you spend most of the time in your head? Did you spend it in a positive place or did you spend it in a cloudy place? Let's look at this cartoon. Which one is most like you? When we think about all that goes through our mind in a day, we have anywhere from 15,000 to 50,000 thoughts a day. A lot of thoughts. And it is said that 70% of those thoughts are negative. So let's just give you the benefit of the doubt and say you think 30 thoughts a day and half of them are negative. That means you have 15,000 negative thoughts a day. Wow, that's a lot of thoughts, a lot of negativity. And it takes about 3 to 1 in a positive thought to a negative thought ratio to be positive. So you really have to think about, gosh, 45,000 positive thoughts a day to really make up for those 15,000 negative thoughts. So why do we spend all that time there? We think about our environments today. Some of you may be saying, oh gosh, there's all this positivity and what's really matter? Well, there's so much research about the effects of positivity on people's lives, on people's minds, on people's health, on people's lifestyles. There's just research showing that it impacts us so much in a great way. I don't think we'd be spending a lot of time doing research and creating things that really wasn't worthwhile. When you think about some of the new things, my client has gave me for the holidays a magazine called Live Happy, and it's a magazine all about positivity and how some of the research around positivity, different articles, those kinds of things. There's also networks on TV and networks on the web that are just focused on positive news because there's just so much negativity in our world today. There's t-shirts, there's mugs, there's any different thing that you might think about to kind of create a positive environment. So when we think about how can we shift our thinking, if you are one of those sitting in the negativity world or want to think about how can I be positive? Well, let's think about some of the, we talked about habits last week, and really we have to think about our conditioning of our mind and how can we really keep our mind conditioned. Well, let's think about some of the goals that you might set and some of the changes you may make. Some of us go on diets and decrease our eating. Some of us want to exercise more, drink less. So we focus on those types of things. But when was the last time you took yourself on a mental diet? Tony Robbins used to talk about this 7-day mental diet. And that was something I was exposed to a long time ago, to stop and say for 7 days straight, you can't have a negative thought. Now, for those of you who obviously say that's not possible, well, you're probably the first ones that need to do this because you're already thinking negative. But the whole point of it is that we're increasing our consciousness and our awareness around what are our thought patterns. And it's not that we expect everybody to be perfect and focus on, oh, you know, like I ate that donut, I'm done with my diet. I had a bad thought, I'm done with this. It's stopping to say, if you have a bad thought, being aware of it, being conscious of it, and just stopping and changing that thought. So if you encounter a situation and you normally think negative, what could my positive thought be? So that may sound extreme to think about doing that for 7 days, but you know what? That is a way that we can be conscious and start thinking about how do we start shifting those thoughts. Same way we do anything else, but many times we don't think about that. And what is the capability of changing that thinking? You may think that I can't change that much, that's just who I am. Well, really, it's only about 50% is set, okay, in your that really can't be changed. 10% of our thinking is due to our life circumstances, but there's 40% that's in your control. Okay, 40% is up to you. And that's the piece that we're really focusing on and wanting to shift a little bit further. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, those positive people, they avoid issues or they keep their head in the sand, they avoid the problems. As a matter of fact, I was with one of my friends, and I had never met them, and she introduced me to them, and they said, oh yeah, she's Miss Positivity, you know, if it's raining, she'll come up with something, you know, and they were kind of laughing at her about it, but they always said she always has a solution and she helps us work through the things, and even though it's kind of funny, they laugh about it, but it brings some great memories. So is she one that avoids the issue? No, she doesn't avoid the issue. She doesn't sit there and put her head in the sand. But what she does think about is, if we have a problem, what are our alternatives? what is a positive alternative that we may encounter? So it's not that you're avoiding the issues or keeping your head in sand, but it's really the way you approach the problem. So that's really, something that people think about when they kind of want to avoid the positivity thinking. The final thing to think about when you're wanting to shift to positive thinking is to use the F word. Now, some of you obviously went somewhere else. The F word is faith. Most of this, when we think about shifting anything, shifting, a habit, shifting our thoughts, is having faith and believing that you can do it. You can do it. It's just like anything else. Again, 40% of it is in your control. It's just the choice that you want to make. So if you really think about having faith and believing that you can shift your thinking, it can make an amazing change in your life. The way you approach the day, the way you go about things. Another friend and I were talking about traveling and asked, how can you travel and deal with all that stuff, all the delays and the cancels? And, I stepped back and thought about it and thought, years ago, was I exactly the same way? I kind of think you're built for travel or not, when you travel a lot. But most of it has to do with my mindset. It's really about the way I approach it, to know that there's alternatives, to know that everything happens for a reason. Maybe I didn't get on that plane or it was delayed. And sometimes you get to sit by somebody better, or you have a chance to meet somebody in the airport, or whatever it might be. It's really the way you look at the situation and make it the best you can at the end of the day. For positive charge this week, I want you to first think about, where is your thinking? If you put yourself on a scale, on a teeter-totter, are you more towards the right and think more positive, or to the left and think more negative? Now, the second thing I tell you to do is confirm that with someone else. Okay? Some of us think we're more positive, but then we have others who tell us, yeah, not so much. So first, understand where you are. Second, ask somebody else. And third, think about something that you can change this week. When a negative thought comes your way, stop and think about the alternative. What's the positive thought that could replace that? Positive thinking gets us great results, and you can really shift a lot in your mindset and how you affect people around you. So take some time this week and do something positive, not only for yourself, but for someone else. Thank you for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.